Hello, friends, and welcome to CareersTalk. Today's session is going to be quite different from the usual mock interviews which you have seen on our channel so far. So, today I will be conducting a real interview with a candidate and provide my feedback at the end of the session. So, the candidate currently works in a leading multinational company and she's having a total of 9 years of experience. And from last 3 years, she's working as a Scrum Master. So friends, if you are also interested in participating in similar session, please feel free to reach out to me. We offer both paid and free sessions. And if you enjoy this session, please leave a comment and don't forget to hit that like button. So without further ado, let's get started. So good evening, Sana. How are you today?
Yeah, hi Sunand, good evening. I'm doing well, a bit excited. Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah.
Okay, so Sana, I have your resume with me. Okay, so by the time I'm
Okay.
just browsing your resume,
Mm-hmm.
why don't you tell me about yourself? And in between the session, I'm going to take some notes. So even if I'm not watching you, you please feel free to continue with your response. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. First of all, yeah, thank you, Sunand, for this opportunity. Yeah, being a Scrum Master and being a regular follower of your videos, it's really helpful for me. So, uh, just uh, just a time note before I start with my version. And myself, I am a very self-motivated and result-oriented person who has a strong learning agility and an exceptional can-do attitude. I am working in the IT industry for past 9 years, as you mentioned, and I am working as a Scrum Master for past 3 years. Previously, I was into test automation, all with my current employer itself. My experience is all with my current employer. And as a Scrum Master, I could successfully drive two distributed Scrum teams for a potential client in health science domain and build customer confidence in a very short period of time. And I'm a postgraduate in computer applications and have done two Scrum certifications. Also, I'm planning to upskill myself with a SAFe certification in the coming quarter. And with regards to my background in my career, I started with a support executive role where I was supporting a retail client. There I was doing level 2 support where I was also responsible for some immediate fixes. And when I got an opportunity to change my career track, I opted for automation testing. Uh, and there I learned and like worked on automation tools like Selenium, Cucumber BDD, then also some desktop testing applications like Test Complete. And during my tenure there, actually, I happened to see a transformation, agile transformation going on. So I was pretty interested in how my coaches and scrum masters were doing that particular transition. And I actually expressed my interest in moving to a scrum master role. But the engagement that was coming up in the queue was particularly for a testing engagement, and it was a transition project. So my managers wanted me to lead the test automation team. And then later on, I moved to a Scrum Master role for the same team. Basically, that's my background of how I reached into a Scrum Master position. And once I took the role, I took two certification, PSM1 and PSM2. And also, I'm continuing with two different teams now, distributed Scrum teams. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm just looking into your resume,
Mm-hmm.
and you mentioned about that you manage project cost, scope, and timeline by coordinating sprint. What do you mean
Mm-hmm.
by that?
Okay. Basically, even though we have moved from waterfall to agile mode of working or agile methodology of working, still we do have these project constraints which were there in waterfall, like the cost, timeline, and the scope. So here it is in a different context, maybe. As in, we are not initially preparing a project charter or something that will describe the scope of the project or the exact budget to complete the entire project or something. Here it is in a, we are doing it in an incremental model. So here the scope is a bit less compared to what in the waterfall model. But still, whatever we are doing towards the sprint goal or product goal will affect the scope and timeline of the particular project. So by maintaining the scope and budget, I mean that we should have that optimal number of resources and optimal capacity utilization for the project to be within the budget or within the optimum budget. It should not go beyond. If we have a choice to reduce the budget, then we can utilize that. By that I mean I had a chance. Let me share one of my experience. In my previous team we had around 15 members team, but the incoming user stories was not enough to fill in all the resources. So at that time we had to plan for reducing some resources from the development team, so we can utilize them somewhere else in the project. So in that way we can reduce the budget with satisfying the requirements coming in also. That is with regards to the budget. And again, with respect to story point estimation and optimal estimation and all, we will have this optimal usage of the resources actually. So basically that's what I meant by the three project constraints, how I maintained in my project.
And what if I'm going to ask you that, see, irrespective of whatever the project you are going to do, you will have all these three constraints. It doesn't matter whether it's waterfall or agile, Scrum, any project. Okay, so project is different irrespective of whatever the type of methodology or work you are going to do. So that's the very first point which you should know. Other thing is you mentioned about optimal, how to reduce optimal number of resources, optimal number of work, right? So when you are loading these people, when you are hiring these people, it means you're not taken care of all these things. You just start taking a lot of people, and then when it's 15, then you are reducing them one by one, or is it like the work is more in the beginning and later on the work is less?
Exactly.
So that's the normal progression. There is nothing which you have done. Specifically, if you have done something to reduce the cost, then it makes sense. Specifically, if you have done something with respect to scope, then it makes sense, right? So if I'm going to ask you that, okay, is there any sprint, or is there any, let's say your client came to you and they are telling you that, okay, with this only cost and with this only timeline, now they have increased the scope. So how you are going to manage that particular scenario? So the cost is same. So what is the cost of your project, by the way? You mentioned about project cost. Can you just give me a ballpark figure? How big is your project? What is the cost of your project?
Okay. So we
don't make any number, huh? Otherwise you will be caught. So very clear. If you know the cost, tell me cost. If you don't know the cost, tell me I don't know.
Okay. So in our particular Scrum team, as I mentioned, we do have external vendors also included in the Scrum team, apart from my members from my current organization. So the billing goes to the entire team. It's not like for this particular organization this much, for the others it's more kind of
what is the cost of your one sprint? What is the cost of your sprint? One sprint.
Sprint wise,
know, right?
I will not.
Why you are working in a agile project? Of course, you have to come up with the sprint wise. You should know the cost of every sprint. How to derive that number? That's something which you should know, because you just you mentioned about you managing your project cost, scope, and timeline, right? So you should know what is the cost of your sprint. You should know what is the cost of your project. All these are valid questions, or do you think?
Maybe
sense?
because like just because I mentioned I have handled or I have made an impact to the cost, it is a valid question, I should say. But with respect to a Scrum Master role, maybe it's not. I don't think it is like purely into the scope of a Scrum Master, the budget or costing thing. But I happened to handle this particular area when I had a like overarching role with the project manager. Like with
See,
regards of this
Sana,
monthly.
I'm just
Yeah,
asking you something which you have mentioned. I'm not making out this, right? You only
yeah,
created your
exactly.
resume. You already put it all these things, right? I've
Yes,
not
yes.
created your resume. So I'm just asking you
That's why.
something which is
So
in your resume. And if you don't know,
hmm,
just tell me that I don't know. You don't have to make up that, okay, we have vendor. Till now, you have not given me any figure, not even a closest figure. That is 1 million, 10 million, one. You have not given me any figure till now.
yeah, I with respect to sprint, I'm not sure. We do have an agreement for 3 months actually. That comes close to $180 million. That I'm pretty sure. And with respect to sprint, in fact, I'm not very sure like how much
$180
cost.
million for 3 months project.
Yeah,
60 million. How many team members you have? 15.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, it's debatable, but that's okay.
Mm.
Let's move on because this is
That is a fact actually, because
that's
I can
perfectly
say
okay.
that I
That's
yeah.
perfectly okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on. I think we have spent a lot of time on this. Okay, so next you mentioned about retrospective meetings, daily stand-ups. What is daily stand-ups?
Which is the daily Scrum call.
So why you have not written daily scrum calls? What is stand-up? What's the difference between a scrum call and a stand-up?
Okay. So daily Scrum meeting is the sprint event that is defined by the Scrum guide. Daily stand-up call is like maybe used interchangeably, but if there is a specific difference, it should be like a heads up call for the team, if like to update whatever they have done so far. So basically, I believe it is used interchangeably, the both the daily Scrum and the stand-up calls. We can have stand-up calls more than once also, but daily Scrum happens only once. I think
So
that
both
might
are
be the difference.
different or both are same? I'm still confused. What do you think? Is it same? Daily stand-up and daily scrum calls both are same thing, or both are different thing? Simple.
Okay, so I specified that in the sense of daily Scrum call itself. But if there is a specific difference between both these terms, which I am not aware of, then I think this might be the difference, because stand-up call can have multiple times a day also, but daily Scrum happens only once. That is like my assumption actually.
Okay. So you don't
Yeah.
know. Simple. That you don't know the difference, right? So that's perfectly okay. Okay. Created and presented various matrices like burn down chart. Okay. So what's the use of metric? Why we need metrics?
Okay. So what metrics is, let me begin with that. So we should have um, some quantifiable data or some measure to like judge if the team is doing well, or if we are meeting the goals right, if we are on the right track. So matrices can be used in for forecast, and also to understand what the performance also. Why using matrices means, if we can't measure it, we can't manage it also. So if there is any deviation or not, if we want to identify that, then there should be some matrices to quantify that particular data. That's why we are using matrices. And matrices can be like with respect to the performance, with respect to the time and completion, with respect to the defects. So depending on the context, there can be like many matrices for agile actually.
Okay. You mentioned about this burn down chart. So what's the difference
Yeah.
between a burn down chart and a burn up chart?
Okay. So both are similar, but still in a burn down chart, we will have the x-axis with time and the y-axis with the work done, where we will be calculating how much work is completed with respect to time. So if we are looking at within a sprint, how much work is being burnt each day by day. And the main purpose of burn down chart is to identify if there is any deviation from the planned items, if there is any like pause in between, or if it is not gradually coming down, then there is an alert, there is a red flag. So it is basically used for that purpose. And burn up chart in the reverse is again, it is the x-axis will be the time and the y-axis will be the work items or the story points. So it is a growing chart where we will be able to see how much work is completed so far. So we will not be able to see what is coming up. It is a growing chart. So if we have any room for new additions, that all things we will be able to know from a burn up chart.
So
I
burn
think
down
that
chart
was
is like this.
okay.
Burn up chart is like this, right?
Yeah, burn down chart will be
Like
reaching
this.
the x-axis.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And burn up is like this, right?
Yeah.
So what else? What else is different in these two charts? When you see these two charts, there is something which is different in those two charts. What is that difference? When you look into those charts, there is one more difference which you have to tell me. So by looking into that, one more way of looking into those charts, there is one more difference. So what's one, okay, if I have to ask you just simple, you have described me what is burn down chart and burn up, but I'm just asking you the difference. What's the difference? You have explained me this is x-axis, y-axis, that's okay, but I'm just asking you what's the one difference between both the charts. Simple. So if you have to just summarize in one line or two line, what is the difference?
Like burn down chart shows what work is completed already, or with respect to time, and burn up chart will be showing like what we are moving towards, what is to be completed, or the reverse maybe. Yeah.
In a way both are same. In a way both are same, and that's not the difference. So if you are telling me that okay, you touch this this like this, or you do like this, both are same thing. But what's the difference? This is not the difference. This is not the difference which you just mentioned. This is not the difference. Okay, let's move on. You mentioned about
maybe then, yeah.
Okay, you mentioned about velocity chart.
Yeah.
So what is the current velocity of your team, both the teams?
Okay. So I hope it's okay to share, but yeah, our current velocity is somewhere between 45 and 50 story points. So like currently I'm like handling one team. The other project has got over a couple of months back.
Okay,
So
what's
my
the
current team,
sprint?
it is, yeah.
What's the sprint number?
Sprint number, is it?
Is it like first sprint? Is it 10th sprint? Is it 100th sprint?
Okay, it is somewhere in like hundreds, because we don't use a number actually. We name every sprint, but we started the project like 3 years back, like 3+ years maybe.
But you just mentioned that this project is 3 months and you just got $160 million, $180 million, right?
No, it gets renewed. So one particular agreement will last for 3 months. Then we will like demonstrate all the achievements on all the matrices. On basis that we will get that extended. So it is not like only for 3 months we are working on it. But the billing comes in 3 months, every 3 months.
Then you don't
But yeah.
understand what's the project cost. So what you are telling me that after every 3 months you just send the invoice. That's pretty normal. Yes, we will. Some people send on monthly basis. Some people will send quarterly basis. But that is not your project cost. Anyway, let's not talk about cost. So it's 100 sprint. Let's assume it's 100 sprints. It's 3 years old project. So team is pretty mature then, right?
Yes. Like in terms of like the sprint ceremonies and all, yes, it is. But we still do face some issues, like still people find like the attending daily scrum is not so relevant, or sometimes the retrospectives also we might like encounter situations where there are very less number of cards or very less number of opinions from the team side. So such issues
Why?
are there, but still
Why? Why?
uh,
Because this is pretty mature team, right? 3 years you are there with this team since long.
I'm
Your
not
team.
with I'm not with the team for past 3 years. I am with the team for like I joined in between, and in fact, our organization joined in between. Previously, also, it as I mentioned,
So
it is
how
a
long you are?
transition
How
project.
long? How long you are there with this team?
I'm into the team for past 6 months only, and
Still,
the
6 months is a, yeah, it's a good duration. So why
yeah.
there is an issue? Is
So
it like team don't understand the purpose of daily scrum, or they don't understand what's the purpose of retrospective? What's the issue?
it's not, maybe not because they don't exactly understand what it is or why it is required, but still sometimes what happens, they feel like we can handle it outside that window also, or we can discuss it personally also. So once it becomes mature, they will try such alternatives, like if they have any queries, they'll directly reach out to the person, maybe in between the work also. But I had put an effort to ensure that they are all the team members are joining the sprint meetings by maybe forcefully, I should say, because I used to personally contact them like some 5 or 10 minutes before the call, and I will ensure that they are joining the calls.
Why
So
you are doing this? Why you are doing it?
because maybe for all old members in the team, it will be comfortable for them to ask
You
feedback
don't.
or
You are not
ask.
sending them meeting invites. Why you are as a scrum master chasing every individual to come and join in the meeting? It means I am getting an
Initially.
indication that
Mhm.
your team or either you as a scrum master are not doing a proper job, because your team is not coming into daily scrum calls. They are not talking into the retrospective. It's almost six
Mhm.
months There is some serious problem. What is the
uh,
outcome in the retrospective? Did you mention this with your agile coach? Did you try to get some external help, or you yourself try to fix it? And if you fix
yeah,
it, try
I
to.
tried and I did fix it, I should say, and
Mhm.
the client himself has accepted that. After me joining the team, there is a significant difference in this particular manner, because previously it was like the scrum master was handling multiple projects at the same time, and they were not really caring about if people are attending or not, or the meeting should go on, and whoever is attending, let them share their comments. That was how it was working. But and since you asked, it's 6 months, and you took so much time to that, actually I should join the team, and I should create some kind of rapport, and then only, otherwise they can easily um, they can ignore my comments, or they can easily ignore me, like we are doing it like this for past 1 or 2 years now. How can you come and tell me that this is so important? So it was not like that, and I said that I will personally contact them for like maybe first 4 or 5 sessions, and then I insisted them, if you are not joining, please do comment in that particular chat window, so that people are aware you are not joining because of some reason, and this is your update,
What
and
is?
people can.
Wait, wait,
Yeah.
wait, 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 wait.
Yeah.
You are going in totally different direction. I think you
Okay.
misunderstood. and I'm not sure what exactly you are trying to achieve by doing all the stuff. So let's not get over there. So let's move on. Let's not talk about
Okay.
whatever you just mentioned.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So you also mentioned about CFD. What is the CFD?
Okay. CFD is a cumulative flow diagram, which showcases the entire how our backlog is going. So basically, it is something similar to the something similar to the burn down chart, or
Is
it
it
should be
similar to the
something like
bundle?
no, the flow, I mean, it should come down in a downward trend, where our backlog is getting reduced, and it is nearing the I didn't mean that it should meet the x-axis or something. It's not a steep like that, but the requirements keep on reducing if we are already working on a live project. So only the upgrades or some new feature additions will be coming in. So our backlog might get reduced with time. So it is basically
Okay.
for the backlog, the cumulative flow diagram.
Okay. So there are very important three matrices which work along with CFD. What are those matrices or KPIs or
Okay.
whatever you call it? Because
Okay.
without these, the CFD
Yeah.
is incomplete.
Okay. I believe that is the like cycle time and the lead times, which we will get with control charts. So we will get to know how much time it is taking for once it enters the product backlog, and how much time it will take once it enters the sprint backlog. So cycle time is basically that how after the sprint, after it entering the sprint backlog, uh, like till it gets completed. And yeah, lead time is from the uh, birth of a user story till it is being delivered.
Okay, there is one more important thing which is missing.
Okay, this is this is what we have used. Maybe the product backlog health, where the if the
No, no,
product
no. Okay,
backlog.
okay. That's okay.
Okay,
That's
yeah,
okay. If you don't know, that's okay.
okay,
So tell me, is there
yeah.
any difference between this lead time and a throughput which you just mentioned? Any difference?
Okay, so mm, maybe it is the term used in Scrum. I'm not very sure. Sorry.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's perfectly okay. Let's see. Okay, now let's move on. So this till now we just covered the three lines which is there in your resume. Okay,
Okay.
and I can see the 13 lines. So we have, okay, let me just see the time. Okay, I think we still have some time. Let's move on. Okay, so you mentioned that reduce 20% of impediments to achieve sprint and release goals by proactively managing risk, assumptions, issues, and dependencies, right? So tell me, as a Scrum Master, what you have done to reduce 20% of your impediments? What is
Okay.
your role in
So
that?
yeah. So this 20 percentage is basically from the previous velocities, comparing to the previous velocities. And how I made that difference is because we in our team we have a strong dependency to an external team, that is the SAP team. So basically, previously what happened is user stories might enter into the sprint backlog even if they have a dependency to the SAP team. So people used to start working on it, and in between it will be on hold status on, or it will be paused until the other team responds or their work is completed. So in that way, the output was a bit less compared to now, where I have like created a separate bucket for the tickets that have an SAP dependency. So there I will ensure that the team will not have to hold on for a long time just for this particular dependency. So I just added it into the DOR, I can say. And by that, whatever stories are perfectly ready to be started only will come into the sprint backlog. So that was one thing. And the other thing is with the estimation. So sometimes during the sprint planning meeting, some resources used to put some placeholder, or they will assign some tickets to their name, and sometimes they will not be able to complete it. So there will be capacity with respect to the capacity planning, if I say, but still they might, since they are not very experts in, maybe some junior developers or something, they are not experts in estimates, and they will randomly pick some stories and put it in their name, which makes the other person also will not be able to work on it. So I identified this thing throughout the sprint planning meetings, and I ensured that we strictly follow the capacity planning chart. And if one person is taking only the less story point items, then I will try to understand why is it so, why there is no combination of larger and smaller stories and all. And that's how this particular difference happened.
So you talked about that your team is, few of your team members are not able to understand how to estimate it, right? And then you make them understand what is estimation. Is this the case?
No, I didn't say that. I made them understand how to do estimation. I just ensured that there is some gap, because of which they are not able to complete whatever they have committed. So I tried to make sure that we have a capacity planning chart, and there I can clearly see if one person is adding on stories to his name, then it will be shown in that particular chart. So we are using this Azure DevOps. There we can visually see how the
Sana, hold on,
progress
hold
is.
on.
Yeah.
This is pretty standard. Whenever you are doing sprint planning as a scrum master, you are supposed to come up with the capacity plan as a team, which we are doing. And based on the capacity only, as a team member, they will pull the user story on their name. So I don't see anything which you have done over here unusual. This is a pretty standard thing
Yeah.
which everyone's supposed to do. If they are not
Yeah, but
doing it,
maybe.
that's a different
Mhm.
thing. I mean, I don't get it,
Uh,
honestly.
Okay. So let me try to clarify it once more,
Mm.
because sometimes if the junior developers is giving one particular story, two story points, where it is actually having something more than two, maybe three or five story points, and they are just estimating it as two. But then they are not able to complete it within the time. So if it is being estimated as two, they will have if 10 is the capacity,
Wait,
then
wait,
they
wait,
will
wait, wait,
take
wait,
that
wait,
much.
wait.
Okay.
You heard
Okay.
something called planning poker or any other thing? How
Yes.
you are doing
Yes.
this estimation? So no single person is allowed to only give two story points as a team,
Yeah,
7 to 15
I
team
agree
members,
that.
right?
So
Why you are
yeah,
telling me this, that one team member just give two story point and then they pull it and then they came
that
out that
might
it's a
not
big
be
story point?
randomly giving that particular. I mentioned that he
Mhm.
is a junior developer and he is taking more than two story points. Maybe the senior developers thinks that he will take two story points only, and they will agree for sure. So that's how they are taking more time than what they are actually estimating. In that case, it happens that there is some spillovers towards the end of the sprint, and they'll not be able to meet whatever they have committed. So I think rightly point addressing this particular issue, they stopped over committing. Whatever they are committing, they started to complete. By with that, the other developers who have the bandwidth to complete more stories, they will be able to pick it up.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. Tell me about any two risk which you have in your project right now. You just mentioned about risk, assumption, issues, and dependencies, right? RAID. that you are proactively managing RAID, right? RAID, right? So tell me about risk in your
Okay.
project.
Yeah. So since you specifically asked in my project, one thing that I could address in past few months is that we actually, from the client side, they don't have a requirement for testing within the sprint. The client side, they are okay with the peer testing what is being done right now. But still, being from the testing background, I understood that it is not a reliable move that going forward. So we should actually have some testing from a proper tester or full who is dedicated to do testing, because there might be some issues that is being overlooked, or maybe not overlooked, but still, to ensure that the quality is there should be some proper round of testing in multiple environments. So to ensure that, I suggested this particular thing to the client, and also suggested to do some automated test which will run automatically after every integration to the, if they are moving from one environment to next environment, the automated test will run automatically. So that was one risk I could highlight to my client. And we are in a POC mode to showcase that how it works and what benefits it can actually bring, how much defects we
Is it a
can
risk
reduce.
or is a improvement area? I don't understand. Like, I mean, is why this is a risk? Do you know the difference between a risk and an issue? Do you know the difference between a risk and an issue?
Risk is something that that might happen in a near future, which we can already identify. Issue is something that has already occurred, or which we are going through
Okay, correct.
right now.
You're right.
Yeah.
So what is, which you mentioned about this, all this test automation, if someone is doing now, you suggested
So
automation. What is this? Is it a risk? Is it an issue?
it can be a risk in the future, I think, because until and unless we don't have this particular phase of testing, in the near future there might arise an issue from the production itself. So
Okay.
I think
Understood,
it is a risk.
okay, let's assume it's a risk which might happen in future. So what is your risk mitigation plan?
Risk mitigation plan is to include this particular test cases or the test scenarios in the DOR itself, and also gradually before releasing it, that actually already happens. We do a regression testing towards the end, just before the release. So that is happening, but in DOR, if it is there, then we can make sure that this particular scenario, or mostly developers tend to think in a positive way, and they might not check for the other side of the coin. So if we are including it in the DOR, we can ensure that thing.
Who is the owner of this risk? Who is accountable for this risk?
Okay, the accountable, the developer himself will be accountable, because at the end
All
of the
17,
day,
all 7, all 15 members are accountable?
we can't point to one single person who developed this particular feature.
Do you know difference between accountability and responsibility?
Okay, so accountability is something we are committed to do. So we can't we can't say that it is not, I didn't do that, so I'm not accountable for that. So the whole developers are accountable for this particular thing, and responsibility is something that we take up to do, or we agree to do. The other thing is we should do, maybe.
Okay.
Sounds similar, but yeah. Okay.
Okay, no problem. Okay, let's move on. Third point, assess requirement, define scope, created user stories from epics by collaborating with business and technology subject matter expert. So you created user stories from epics. What are those features of those epics which you worked on as a scrum master?
Okay, so in our current project, the requirements comes from the stakeholders who basically ours is an website creation project. So basically, requests come from multiple countries. The person who is the BA or whoever is from a particular country, they will come to us, to the product owner or the product manager. Then it will come to us as a user story. Then basically we have a team where they will be doing the discovery. So I will be working closely with them to do the slicing part, where we will be dividing the user story into a front-end task, and not the task wise, that will be doing in the planning sessions or the grooming sessions, backlog grooming sessions. Basically from user story, creating features, or if one requirement is to create one particular website with these all features, then I have been included in the slicing of that particular user story into multiple features, which will be taken into the product backlog.
What is your role in this? You have mentioned assess requirements. It means you have assessed the requirements. Then define a scope. It means you have defined the scope. Then created user stories from Epic. It means you have created user stories from Epics by collaborating with business and technology. So you work with business and technology subject matter expert, and then you come up with some user stories. This is the meaning of this line, right? Or is it I'm assuming something else?
No, it can be interpreted as I have worked closely with them and I have that particular exposure. So where I will be able to identify if one person is giving a requirement, I'll be able to identify how to split it into features or
That's what I'm
multiple.
asking. Give me an example. Give me an example of, okay, this is a feature, or this is how I split it, this feature or this epic into 5 different user story. That's what I'm asking. You gave me example of website, right? Okay, give, let's say Amazon. Let's forget about your project. Let's say Amazon. I want to build a Amazon website, right? Now tell me what will be the epic and how you will drive the user story. Simple.
Okay. Yeah. So considering the simplest example, as a user, the user wants to enroll into this particular website, and they need to give their data, and when they are entering the next time, they should get all the data and move forward with ordering something. So if that is the epic or the user story that is coming from the stakeholders, then I will be doing this particular thing has not if by saying I will be doing, it's not I will be doing it alone. There will be people from development team and also from the discovery team who will be able to actually describe this in a user story, but I will ensure that it is granular enough to be taken into a product backlog, because if it is too long, basically I am present in that particular meeting to ask questions, like if it will be able to be completed within the within one sprint, or if it will be able to be split in back end and front end, or the integration task, like that we will be able to do it or not. So such valid questions I will be trying to raise in that particular session. So it was basically.
Whatever you are telling right now is completely poles apart whatever you have written in this line. Okay, I understood what you are doing right now. So let's move on. That is completely different. What you just told me, that you will be just facilitating that, whatever you call it, discovery session or whatever session. That's it. You're not doing anything more than that in this. But the mentioned thing which you have mentioned over here, that I assessed requirement, I defined scope, I created user story from Epic by collaborating with business technology subject matter expert. That's completely different thing, and this is what I was just curious to know. Anyway, let's move on. You mentioned about Scrum maturity. So how you measure Scrum maturity?
Okay, so basically for assessing the maturity of the team, we do some surveys like how much they are able to deliver with respect to what they have committed, and how much like if the people in the team are cooperating or they are collaborating well. In that way, we will have some questionnaire, and with that we will be able to assess like if they are it's not a quantifiable number or something, but still we will be able to identify if it is in a entry level, or if it is in a matured level, or if it is something somewhere in the middle. So basis on that, we will be like there are coaches whom we can approach, and we will be taking these particular issues to them, and we will get some inputs from them also, like in regards to how we can improve on this particular area,
Okay,
like that.
so what are those areas I want to know? Because when you say Scrum maturity, and you also mentioned it's not quantifiable. So if someone is going to ask you, okay, how mature is your team right now? So what will be your answer? It's
Uh,
a simple question, right?
I
Okay. Hi. I mean, what is the maturity level of your team? So what will be your answer? One liner, two liner.
I should say it is matured enough, or now it is not the in a stage of where we can coach the team, or we have to work on something like that, because the team is providing valuable outputs, whichever is being expected by the customer. So they are able to achieve that. And with respect now, even if the sprint planning or the
Okay,
sprint
on a
daily
scale of,
scrums are
sorry to
having.
cut you.
Yeah,
On a scale of
okay.
0 to 5, what is the maturity level of your team?
I can say it is 4 or 4 plus, because now agile maturity is not like with respect to the velocity or something. It is like how they are delivering, like if they are delivering what is being expected by the customer, then it's fine. The next portion will be if we are able to reduce the the time taken to deliver, or some improvements we are able to bring in or not. I think that is also happening within the sprint. So it is matured enough with some anti patterns or some kind of internal issues. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there is one more last line in your resume, and I'm tempted to ask you this question, that you mentioned about a foster a culture of transparency. Give me an example as a Scrum Master, how you foster a culture of transparency.
Okay. I'm telling this from my experience. Maybe every masters do this, but the situation in my team was different when I joined, because there was a transition happening from Jira tool to Azure. This is one example. It is not just that just by doing this I ensure transparency. It is not like that, but still, this is one point where I could bring some light with respect to transparency. Like in from when we moved from Jira to Azure boards, we the team was not stable in the new environment, and whatever work items are there, it was not properly being monitored, or the status changes what was not aligned, and nothing was happening. So whatever metrics we need, we will have to individually go and take from each and every user stories. So I could actually create a dashboard where we have all the team related metrics, the velocity, burn down, everything, and with respect to defects, everything is there, which is a live dashboard, which the stakeholders, the product owner, the management, everyone has access to also. So this will ensure that they don't have to reach out to that particular person or individuals, or even the scrum master for every simple issues. They will have this particular dashboard handy, and if they need any clarification, then only they will have to come to the team. And more than that, the product owner or the scrum master myself will have an overview of what the team is working on. So they will not have to lie on something, or they'll not have to hide something. It is pretty much clear. like how we will be like showcasing the remaining work with respect to whatever is estimated. So day by day this gets like updated, and in particular there is a like particular flow for all the work items. It is nowhere stagnant or something. That is clear to everyone. So this actually motivated the team to open up in even in the daily scrums, because even if they don't tell it, it is visible there in the boards. So they are forced to tell whatever issue they are facing. If they are not able to move forward, if they are unclear what to do next, they should tell that thing in the daily scrum or the retrospective, because if they don't tell, then also people will ask them. So that is one thing I ensured for transparency. Yeah.
Okay. I think, Sana, we are good. I have gone through with your 13 lines. So with this, I'm ending this session. So friends, I have not asked, and maybe Sana, you can also vouch for that. I have not even asked a single question outside the resume. Everything which you heard is from her resume. There are a lot of things which we can avoid in our resume, how to tackle these kind of questions, how to avoid all these kind of questions. There are a lot of things which which you could learn. Anyway, I'm going to tell you all this thing, Sana, after this call. But if you guys are also interested, please reach out to me, or at least reach out to any of your other friends or colleague, and start practicing these kind of stress interviews, actual interviews. Okay, someone whom you can trust, someone to whom you can take the feedbacks. So that's very important. So yeah, with this thought, let me close this session, and yeah, tell us in the comment box what you think about this session, whether you are going to take this candidate in your team. Those feedbacks are also very important for us. So yes, if you like this session, please give a thumbs up, and yeah, see you next time. Bye guys.